Howdy, everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. Hello, how's it going? Welcome back. Thank you very much for shooting in, joining a fella here for another one, another live one. As a matter of fact, New West Reset Live, episode 175. It's my 5-year anniversary here on the channel, y'all. It's my 5th birthday today. It's my 5th born day. Thank you very, very much for being here. Sunday, June the 14th, 2025. Just a wee bit past 5 p.m. local time, mountain time. As always, we're coming at you live from said mountains. Those would be the Canadian Rocky Mountains right here in southern Alberta, Calgary, Alberta, up in Canada land there for sure, bud. Beautiful day here today. 25 degrees Celsius. Like 80, right close to 85-ish Fahrenheit, I think. Something like that. Thank you so much for being here. It's great to see all of you. Hope you're enjoying your day. I hope your weekend went well for you. And thank you very much for being here for the Sunday Fun Day show. Woo! Woo! As always, links below for everything we're going to be covering on the show for this episode. I'm going to have a subscriber Q&A, question and answer. We're going to do that in the second half of the show. So if you have a question for me, let's try that. Let's try so that you type it in all caps in the chat, in the box. That way I can pin it and come back to it the second half of the show. I'm also going to be doing a draw for free New West Reset merch. I'm going to do a draw for one New West Reset prize pack, which is 2 t-shirts. The channel logo, black 100% cotton t-shirt. The gray, the heather gray. Excuse me, laddies and lasses. The heather gray, 100% cotton limited edition shenanigans t-shirt. Geez, I couldn't even say shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
We'll do that the latter half of the show as well. So if you would like to be entered for the draw for the New West Reset prize pack, let me know, and postage paid, everything. You're just going to get the package. It's not going to cost you a red cent. It's my thank you to all of you for all of your support for the past 5 years. Two stipulations. There, 2 stipulations. Wow, we're already off the rails. We're only 5 minutes into the thing. Anyway, 2 stipulations. You got to email me with your mailing address, obviously, or your P.O. box or whatever. Now, it's going to have my return address on there, so that gives us a mutual agreement that we ain't going to dox each other, which I know you're not going to do. And you know I'm not going to do that, but you know what I'm saying. So if you want to remain anonymous and no, you can't have my address, then please do not put your name in for the draw, because then it's not fair to the others. You know what I'm saying? So when we get, after the mid-show break, when we get to the second half of the show, I will call out to all of you in the chat who wish to enter the draw. Then you can let me know, and then I'll get the names in, and we'll do the Spinny app thing. It'll be an all for nothing. Winner takes all. Now, for the front half of the show, the beginning of the show here, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at my very first video. Oh dear Lord. Actually, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't the best either. But anyway, we're going to kind of scrutinize two areas in my neighborhood here in Sinalta, here in Calgary. There's a lot of interesting stuff that I found out over the years, and as I've also learned how to kind of do a little more research, dig a little deeper, so on and so forth. So we're going to do that. We'll get into all that nonsense. Then we'll take a mid-show break, and when we come back, we'll have the Q. I'll do the draw, and then we'll have a Q&A. All right? So again, if you can, just makes it easier for me. If you have a question for me, you can type it in now. You can type it in anytime in the chat. Try to put it all caps. That way it jumps out at a guy, and then I can bookmark it for later. And as mentioned, links below for everything we're going to cover. I found a few links of some interesting things from these two areas here in Calgary from my first video, right from my neighborhood. So links below for those, as well as how you can get a hold of a fella. Aforementioned email, of course, BitChute, YouTube, and Rumble. Always broadcasting simultaneously on YouTube and Rumble. So welcome to everybody at both. And I'm on the Insta now, just like the kids are doing. So go ahead and pester me over there. I put out some interesting stuff. A lot of photos, a lot of little, obviously shorter little reels or whatever they're called. I don't even know. Down below as well, you can find the link to my location map, courtesy of Cousin Vinny. I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, rather than just blabbering on about it all the time. So yeah, click on the link. There he is. There's Cousin Vinny right there. And it opens up this here thing. And where my channel's icon is everywhere here in Purdy, Alberta. But I've done some boots on the ground video. Oh, good. Sirens in the background. That's how you know it's a quality live show here at New West Reset. When you hear the sirens in the back. Ambulance. Great. Anyway, yeah, from Pincher Creek, Alberta, all the way to north central Alberta up in Edmonton. And a few spots in between. So you click on the icon there, and it opens up a link to the video. It takes you right to the video. So thank you very much to Cousin Vinny for setting that thing up. It's very cool. I actually use it all the time because I lose track. Have I done this building? I don't know. I think I have. When did I do that? Wow, 4 years ago. I didn't even have Zoom on my camera, my phone's camera back then. I better do a refresher on that baby. So it's been very, very helpful. Also down there below, the link to my second channel, my new channel. Well, it's not so new now. It's been a few weeks. That's where you're going to find all of the vintage footage videos that used to come up here on Wednesdays. They're there on Saturdays now. So you get me for the whole weekend. You get me here Friday for Boots on the Ground, Saturday over at New West Rewind for your vintage footage, then back here Sunday for the live show. I'm trying to dominate your weekend. Like Loverboy. Everybody's working for the weekend. Anyway, quit messing around. Thank you for being here. Thanks to everybody who's already shared and subscribed. If you're watching it after the live, in the re-up, really, really appreciate you and all of your support as well. Let's say howdy to everybody in the box, in the chat. See how everyone's doing. Kathy Broughton's here. From Kentucky, the Bluegrass State. Channel 53 in the box. Yeah, 5 years young. Time flies when you're having fun. That's for sure. Buonasera, Roberto. Come stai? Good to see you, sir. Hello, hello. Howdy. Dragon Sage in the box. Good to see you there, bud. How you doing? Baja is here. Hello, Baja. There he is. You mentioned Cousin Vinny, and boop, boop, he pops up. There he is on Freemason. Cousin Vinny over here. Good to see you. It's, we're like peas and carrots. Me and Cousin Vinny. You get Cousin Vinny, you're going to get some Frankie fingers.
So now you know what I'm talking about with the whole New West Reset thing.
No.
What?
No.
What I said about Frankie Fingers. The Frankie Fingers and New West Reset are the same.
Wait, what? Russ is here. Russ in the box. Russ L. Hello. Thank you very much. Yes, I was just going to get into that, sir. It was great to see you and KJ as well. And of course, Cousin Vinny. Thank you. Yes, I had my mudflood walkabout tour and subscriber meetup this weekend to help celebrate the 5 years. It's the 4th annual. I've been doing this every year, every summer for 4 years now. Anybody who lives in Calgary or is going to be in the Calgary area, I host a day of a meet and greet. We grab a coffee and some baked goods, do some handshaking and backslapping. How you doing there, bud? Once we get to know everyone, we do a nice walkabout. We go on walkabout, as the Aussies would say. Crikey, mate, we go on walkabout there. That was terrible. Sorry, I can't do an Aussie accent.
That's racist!
Then we usually break for lunch, have a bite to eat, then eat to bite, grab a couple of wobbly pops or something. Then we finish off the mudflood tour. And then, unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and we say our sad goodbyes, but to see everyone again. So it was fantastic. We met yesterday, June 13th, at high noon at Rouleauville Square right here in Calgary, the old French-Canadian Catholic mission that kicked off in 1875, the same time the Mounties were just building a fort, and there was nothing out here but teepees and buffalo, so they tell us. But they were just knocking up this mission out there with big 3-story stone buildings back in the 1870s and 1880s. Anyways, we had a cruise around there for a couple hours, had a delicious meal, and Cousin Vinny tricked me. We'll get into that later. Then we finished up the tour, and it was great meeting KJ, Kinley Jackson, and Russ. Wonderful folks, really sweet people, great sense of humor, open-minded, and, very patient to put up with a kook like me whipping across the street and through traffic and getting the camera up in there. So, it was an excellent meetup. Thank you again to everybody who attended. And thanks to all the well-wishers for everybody online who wanted to attend but couldn't, and sent me, all kinds of greetings on Insta and on the channel here. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's really great. It's fantastic. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Eh, bot? Speaking of our buddy, there he is. Sig Sarah in the box. Hello. Good to see you. Hippie Shake, the best in the biz. Good to see you, Hippie. Hello. Crikey, those bucks are madder than a bag of dingoes. Good to see you, my friend. Hello. It was great. Very, very good. Had a great time. The weather was beautiful. Howdy, Ross. Water the tree, that is. Good to see you. Yeah, it was a great time. Really, really good time. I think we got everybody there. Yeah, except Tidal. Tidal's here. Hey, ambulance driver, you want to say hi to Tidal? No? Oh, yeah, I guess you are busy. Get the sirens going. Trying to do a show here. It's beautiful, so the window's open, of course. Thank you for being here, Tidal. Always good to see you. So, fantastic time. A great meetup. Lovely folks. And just good times. Good times. Tommy Rogers is here. Good to see you, bud. Hello. Odin's Raven is here. Hello there, buddy. How are you? He says, I learned it from you, Frankie. I learned it from you. See, that's the thing is I says what I mean and I means what I say there. When I said I'm flipping the bill for everything, coffee, donuts or muffins in the at noon when we meet up, lunch and any wobbly pops or glasses of giggle water, any food stuffs we put in our eating hole so that it goes down our food tube into our digestion bag. I don't know what I'm talking about. Obviously, I'm no doctor, but it's supposed to be on me. It was on me. It's a tradition. I've done it all the time. It's certainly my pleasure just to pay back for everybody who has supported me and has taken time out of their weekend, because I did 2 days. I did yesterday, Saturday, and I did today, Sunday. So when people are willing to take time and travel, Kinley Jackson and Russ came like a 2-hour drive from northern Alberta down here to spend the day. Cousin Vinny comes from way the other end of town. That's no picnic getting from one end of the city to the other, especially on the weekend. Oh, not fun. Quay tap, old world Mi'kmaq. In the box. Good to see you, old friend. Welcome. It doesn't matter if it was my birthday. Those are two separate things. Those things are mutually exclusive there, bud. My birthday, it so happened to occur on my birthday, is irrelevant, but I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Cousin Vinny. You're too kind. Very, very too kind. There she is. Kinley Jackson in the box. Thank you, Vinny. We'll be coming back to you on the next one, you sneaky bastard. Yeah, see, the trick, what Cousin Vinny is getting at on Freemason there is getting at is a trick that I use, right? When people are like, oh, we'll split the bill, or I'm getting it, or oh, I'll get the bill, I'll pay the bill. What I do is I excuse myself to go to the washroom. And I just go right to the point, the cash, the point of sale, if you will. And I just say, I'm paying for this. And then I come back and everybody's like, oh, come on, man. But I have to do that to my dad, you see, when I take my dad out for dinner. Or I take my parents out for dinner, mom and dad, whichever. But, for Daddy's Day, when I take Dad out for dinner, he's going to try to split the bill. I'm like, are you crazy? It's Father's Day, and I invited you for dinner there, bub. And he'll try to sneak excuse himself to go to the bathroom. I caught him a couple times doing it. It's a good trick, but it's not so good when it's turned back on you. So Cousin Vinny, very sneaky. Indeed. Indeed. Oh, but yeah, it was fantastic. And today was beautiful too. It was actually hotter today. Yesterday it got hot, around 2-3 in the afternoon. It started getting a little hotter, but there was a bit of a breeze. Today it was completely still. And it was 25 Celsius, as mentioned. So yeesh. It was quicker today. Grabbed some B-roll footage, took a few photographs, and had a quick bite to eat. And then Robert's your mother's brother. Out. It was hot. And, when it's, people say, yeah, but it's a dry heat. That doesn't matter. Come on, man. Hot is hot. Anyway, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. Oh, thank you, Title. Yeah, my 56th birthday yesterday. 56 years young. Oof. Dragon Sage says, I used to live in Fort Saskatchewan. That's where my Uncle Ron lives, my daddy's eldest brother. My Uncle Ron. He's up in Fort Saskatchewan. Fort Saskatchewan. It's a nice little town, small city, actually. I haven't been up there since I started the channel, though. I've been to Edmonton, but I wasn't able to skedaddle on over to Fort Sask at the time. But yeah, I should definitely readdress that. Anyway, enough farting around. Thank you very much for being here. Let's start it off here. As mentioned, we're going to have a quick look at my very first video. I've cut it down to 2 spots. I think I explored 5 spots. It was kind of a short little walkabout tour of my neighborhood. It was basically 5 years ago to the day that I uploaded it. But there's 2 places in particular. The year 1912 seems to keep popping up in my neighborhood for some reason, which is not when my neighborhood supposedly was developed. Supposedly it was annexed by Calgary in 1905, and they started dividing it into, property, lots, and gridding out the streets and whatnot. Toot sweet after that, within that same year, the first houses we're told went up in 1905, 06 in that sort of stretch. But there's a few buildings in my neighborhood that have always stuck out like a sore thumb. And the 2 we'll look at here, like I said, the year in particular keeps popping up. And also I was able to do a little more research, and I've noticed some changes, particularly in the second one that we'll look at here coming up. And it continues to change. The appearance of the building continues to change. It's constantly evolving. They're constantly poking around and monkeying around with it. So as a result, it's getting harder and harder to distinguish what this building originally looked like and what some of the features of the building are modern and made to look old, and what features are authentically old. So thank you very much. Happy birthday, Frankie. Salutations from Erin, the Emerald Isle. Is that right? Ireland? Is that what that is? Is that Ireland? I'm probably totally wrong. I apologize in advance, but I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, my 39th birthday. 39 and holding. Kathy Broughton says, I stopped counting my birthdays at 29. Yeah, I remember you. Yeah, when we were talking about that magic hat, you found a magic top hat at the old railway station. Very strange. Very strange. Well, if you found it at the railroad station, it could have either been a, square and compass guy hat, right? A Freemason guy hat. Or it could have been those other clowns there with the orphan trains. I'm having a mental hiccup. The Independent Order of Oddfellows. Could have been an Oddfellows top hat as well, because they were heavily involved in the railroad. But the square and compass guys were too. A lot of the railroad robber barons were Freemasons. Yes, Ireland. All right. Thank you. Good. Very good. I don't want to screw that up. Insult somebody now. But yeah, that's right. Hippies over in Wales. Over in Wales there. But all right, so let me cue up this first video. This is from the Calgary Tennis Club, which is 3 blocks away from my place. I live in Sunalta. This is also, technically it's Sunalta, but a lot of people refer to it as Lower Scarborough, because Scarborough up the hill is super fancy, where a lot of the highfalutin houses are, which is also just a couple of blocks away from me. But there's some highfalutin places within, even on my street here in Sunalta. So anyway, let me cue this up for you.
Frankie from New.
I'm going to pause it right off the bat. I'm just going to bring it right back to the beginning. And as usual, as per usual, in the chat, in the box, if you can let me know if you can see and hear it okay. It's coming up fine on my end, but I just want to make sure everything's hunky-dory your end as well. So let me get this rolling here. So again, you'll have to forgive. This is my older cell phone camera. I didn't have a zoom on it at that time, and I didn't have a gimbal or anything. So you get a little bit of the shaky cam. It's like an action movie. Really give you the handheld shaky cam. Anyway, Calgary Tennis Club, as you can see, they're established on this site in 1912 and been running ever since. Or as they say in the South, every since. She's been running every since. You mean ever since? That's what I said. Every since. This is Frankie from New West Reset. And today I thought I would finally take the plunge, upload my very first video for this channel. And I thought I would start off today by taking you on a quick little tour of the neighborhood that I live in here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Thank you very much. Kathy says 5x5, loud and clear. Good, good. Thank you. I wish I had jacked the volume up a bit more, and it's maxed out on the video here. So the subdivision or the neighborhood that I live in is one of the older neighborhoods here in the west end of the city center, or west of downtown here in Calgary. And it's called Sonalta. So right now I'm, as you can see, at the Calgary Tennis Club, which, as it states very plainly there, established on this site in 1912. So, you know, the original clubhouse, pro shop, and everything obviously no longer standing, but the basic plan, the basic layout has not changed in over 100 years. It's just they've updated some of the buildings and facilities and so on, but other than that, the courts and the way they're laid out is basically the way it was set up back in 1912. So this sort of neighborhood was kind of built around amenities such as this, or sort of luxury pastimes, I guess, such as this. So that's one of the things that makes it one of the older neighborhoods, but also its proximity to downtown and the warehouse district, and where City Hall is located and that sort of thing. Again, I have to apologize for the shaky cam and all that. It was my very, very, very first video, and I didn't have a gimbal or anything, as mentioned, so it's not the best. Not that I'm, you know, any Peabody award-winning video journalist by today's standards now or anything, but I've gotten better. Always trying to get better. At one point, there were trolleys, originally horse-drawn trolleys and then later electric trolleys that serviced customers and citizens going to and from the downtown core into this area. So that was a little bit there of the Calgary Tennis Club, 1912. So I've got a link below for something that I did find that's fairly interesting about the Calgary Tennis Club. And this is from their own website, so you know it's true. Sure. But anyway, link below for this. This is calgarytennisclub.com/our-history. It's before my voice cracked. So club history. The CTC, or Calgary Tennis Club, was founded in 1889, initially having a court downtown at 2nd Street and 7th Avenue Southwest. That is literally in the heart of downtown. Why in the Sam Steele you would have a tennis court, even if it's just one court, rather than, having, a couple, right? Even if it's just one tennis court right downtown. That's right next to where City Hall is, and the old post office, the railroad station. It's the hub of activity. But we're just going to kick her back and play some tennis here, bot. It lost the court in 1897. Wait a second. They were there for a long time. All right. But under the leadership of Dr. R.B. O'Sullivan, the club was revived to organize the first provincial championships held at Fort Calgary in 1906. I couldn't find any photos of that event, even though it was the provincial championships and cameras had been around for, readily available to the public 2 decades by then. I couldn't find any photographs online in any archives, anything like that. Wiley Metz is here. Good to see you, bud. Wiley Metz in the box from Montana land. Howdy, bud. Anyway, in 1907, it leased land for 4 shale courts in Lower Mount Royal. In 1912, having formed a limited liability corporation, the Calgary Lawn and Tennis Club Limited, it purchased the current site in Sunalta for 10,000 simoleons back in 1912. 6 shale courts and an elegant clubhouse, subsequently destroyed by fire in 1958, were immediately constructed. After 1940, club membership increased steadily from just over 100 during WW2 to almost 800 in 1980. That's true. Every time I walk by there, it's packed. And then it's packed with people waiting for their game time or whatever. I don't know. I don't play tennis, so I don't know how it works. Waiting for a court to be available. You know what I'm saying? So the clubhouse, they have a little restaurant and lounge in there. That's packed. And then in the summer, there's the outdoor patio they open up. That is jam-packed. Increased membership allowed the club to make improvements. All 9 courts were converted from shale to asphalt-based hard courts in the early 70s, which from what I understand is garbage. But anyway, the deck was added and the clubhouse extended later in the same decade. Then following the installation of lights in the mid-80s, courts 1 through 3 were converted back to clay in 91. Beautiful. That's how you do her, bud. It's kind of like, they get rid of the old streetcar trolleys, the old electric trams, because, they're inefficient or they're too expensive to maintain and run, only to replace them with buses, only to a few decades later reintroduce a modern electric tram or trolley in your city. Same thing here. We're going to tear up the old shale courts, and then 21 years later, hey, we're going to put in some shale courts. During the period of 1999 to 2010, the club either rebuilt or resurfaced all 9 courts. So here's a photo from August 1908, 18th Avenue, 9th Street Southwest, looking south to Mount Royal, then undeveloped. It's not true at all. I've got proof of what I consider good argument or good proof of homes in Mount Royal that were pre-reset, or at least constructed much earlier than the date they tell us they were. But, 1926, the Calgary Tennis Club merged with Prince's Island, formerly Anglican Young People's Association Club. In 1930, the club found itself facing severe financial problems, and ownership of its property passed to the city of Calgary. CTC President Reg Carlisle then negotiated an agreement under which the city leased the site back to the club. With slight alterations, this agreement has continued ever since, or every since. Well, there's Marjorie Eustace in 1934. I think they get into who she is here later in the article, but we don't have to go that deep into it. Over the years, many of Alberta's best players have been Calgary Tennis Club players. Among them, there we go, Marjorie Eustace, 9 times Alberta ladies singles champion and 16 times Calgary ladies champion. Wow. Don't mess with Marge. She'll give you what for. She'll give you what for. She was the first tennis player to be admitted to the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame in 1980. There you go. And there's Calgary Tennis Club, April 1946. The former clubhouse there in the background with the cupola on it. You just know that had to go. That's getting hard to explain. So whoopsies, there's a fire in 1958, and that's gone, daddy, gone. Got another link here, and I can't remember if it's for this segment or the second. So let me just quickly have a peekaboo at it. Scoodly-doo. No, it's for the second one. All right. It's fine. No problemo. Baja says that would suck to have to lease something for 90 years you used to own. Yeah, well, isn't that typical of your city or the county or your town or municipality or village or hamlet, your state or province, right? Hell, even when you buy a house, at least here in Canada land, you buy a house, you own the house, but you don't own the land. No matter how much you maintain the land, improve the land, you go on to the great rodeo in the sky, and you leave your house and that to your children or whatever, and they can have ownership of the house. Still, you do not own the land. Plus, here in Canada land, they tax you to death too. They tax you everything. There's a birth tax, a death taxes, and everything in between. Yeah, Kathy says, not suspicious at all. Yeah. Yeah. Not suspicious one bit. All right, without further ado, what do you say we jump into the second segment? This is the A.B. Cushing Lumber Company building. It's now a restaurant and a tattoo shop in there, and it was a lumber company, and then after that, it was a hardware store, and then it, of course, went through several transformations in terms of what businesses are in there over the decades, but also, as you'll see, several transformations physically on the outside of the building. They're trying to bamboozle us with this thing. And again, apologizing in advance for the substandard camera work here. And again, please let me know. You can hear and see everything okay in the box in the chat there. Okay, so here it is here, and as you can see, first of all, it's unfortunate that it's been painted. At one time, it was painted on all four sides, but they're actually sandblasting it and using chemical treatments to strip it back down to the original brick, which is good. You can see again. Thank you very much. Good to see you. Plain spoken Jane in the box. 5x5. Thank you. Hippie says working fine, Frankie. You can see and hear okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that's the other thing too, right? Channel 53 brings up another good point. A lot of state slumlords here. Yeah, slumlords in general, are just not the best, right? You see those landlord specials where, a tenant moves out of a place, and before a new tenant moves in, if you're lucky, they repaint the place. But if, somebody's swatted a wasp onto the wall and they didn't clean it off and it's now dried and stuck on there from, 2 months ago, the landlord just paints right over it. Just stuff like that, right? It's crazy. Yeah, that's right. The tennis center burned in a fire, but the lumber company is still intact. Yeah, no problem. Absolutely no problem. Yeah, it's still standing, still there. All right, here we go. Very rare out here, this beautiful red brick. As I've progressed over the last 5 years, I'm finding more and more red brick structures, so it's not as rare in Calgary as I originally thought. And it's because I was led to believe that. I was led to believe, there was only one brick factory in Calgary, and it was kind of a smaller business, and they didn't really require enough bricks to really kick things off because there was a lot of structures being built out of locally sourced sandstone, and Calgary had something like 15 sandstone quarries within a mile or two of downtown. After the Great Calgary Fire of 1886, they were building a lot of structures out of sandstone because it was cheap and affordable and easy to get at. You know, that song and dance, right? So originally I was led to believe in my own city that at this point I'd lived in for 41 years, that, you know, old brick buildings were pretty rare back then. A lot of newer buildings have brick because now you can just throw them on a rail car from some big brick factory in Winnipeg or Toronto or wherever, and you can have it out here to Alberta or out to British Columbia or whatever in a couple of days. No big whoop. But back in the 1880s, well, you know, none of the roads were paved. We don't have a history, as far as I can find, of streets that had cobblestone or brick streets. And you got to think from October, late October-ish, early November-ish, right through to basically March, there's ice and snow all over the streets. And then from April through to May or June, the streets are all muddy. So it's not easy carting sandstone blocks by horse and buggy through these muddy, bogged down streets. You know what I'm saying? I just, you know, like much like all of you, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but you just look at the official narrative of a lot of the stuff and you're just like, come on, man.
That doesn't make sense.
Exactamundo. Anyway, moving along here. So I kind of misspeak here when I say that red brick buildings in Calgary are kind of rare. I was sold a saucer of lies. I was sold a shit sandwich.
Now, the reason that this building struck me as odd is, like I said, first of all, it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb compared to all the other modern buildings that are on this block. There's really nothing equal in age to this old building here. So you can see on this side, the side street facade, they've been hard at work at stripping off all that.
Very true. Very true. Kinley Jackson in the box says, we all were, Frankie. Yeah, yeah. How you feeling, by the way? You're a trooper. You are a trooper. Voice is cracking like a teenager over here. Yeah, you're a trooper. Kinley Jackson, a little under the weather yesterday and still traipsed around all over the Mission District like a champ.
It's even left a little bit of the original business being painted across the street here. So yeah, there we go. Beautiful old building. So a couple of things, some very small windows and then a couple of larger windows, but it's very hard to tell, but there's actually, the brickwork is curved over those square windows, which is a little unusual.
So it's not an arched window. It's where they do a sort of a fan effect at the top of the window with the brick up on its end, rather than, you know, whatever, you know, a common bond or whatever method of bricklaying that they use to construct the wall. Above doors or windows, often we see the arch where the end, the butt end, rather than the face of the brick, is used to create this arch. And often there's a keystone or something like that, maybe of limestone or something in there, just add some fanciful, whimsical detail, right? But a lot of times if they want to get fancy, but maybe, I don't know, there's limited skill level on whoever's been contracted as the bricklayer, or it's just a different method, a different style, a different whatever was in fashion when these were being built. So the top of the window is squared off, so it's still a square or rectangular window. There's no arch, but they've done what I call a starburst or sunburst effect, where the bricks are fanned because they're standing on end. So from a distance, it does have a slight curve, but it's not an arched window. That's kind of what I'm getting at. I can't zoom in on it because I had my old crappy cell phone camera here with no zoom. Because, quality stuff around here on the New West Reset channel.
And again, as we generally see with older buildings like this, even here in Calgary, Alberta, is...
Channel 53 says old door place. Trying to read it. Yeah, it's hard to read. It was hardware and windows and doors business at some point. Howdy, Annie. Orphan Annie in the box. Very good to see you. Hello, hello. So yeah, there were, after the lumber company moved out and sold the building or whatever, it was a hardware store. It was a business that sold windows, doors, that kind of thing. But yeah, some of the old painted on sign is pretty rough, and it's really, really tough to read.
You have to step up from street level to get into what is supposed to be the main floor, the first floor, but actually more than likely was the original second floor and was probably a window there. Excuse me. It's probably a window there, and they just put in these god-awful stairs and put in this modern door. But a couple of other telltale signs.
As it turns out, that wasn't an original door. They just monkeyed with it a little bit. But you'll see in some old photos I found of this building coming up here that they did replace doors with windows, just not in the spot that I originally thought they did.
This is an original access door because this was a manufacturing building. It had, they manufactured hardware in here at some point, so you can still see the remnants of the old hardware. And this was a big sliding warehouse access door. The other thing too is, of course, they've built out this false sort of foundation by just caking on cement or concrete over it.
See, I had not coined the term schmutz yet at this point. I was struggling and grappling with a word to describe this, where the brick, as I've shown on this building, goes right down to the pavement, and I suspect below the pavement, the concrete sidewalk you see there. So what they do is they build up layers of thinset or concrete to cover up the brick, and often they'll brick in or block in really low mudflood windows down along there too. And then they can just smear all this crud all over everything, and they make it look like that's the foundation of the building that the bricks have been stacked upon. A poured concrete foundation. And more often than not, as I've discovered here over the last 5 years, that's not the case at all. The brick goes all the way down to the ground and probably shoots down below the ground, and they just make it look like a foundation. And what tips me off generally is it sticks out away from, you have the brick face, the facade of the brick, and then it juts out, and then it's supposed to be the foundation. Now, I'm not in construction, but I have worked in construction in the past, on and off. My daddy was in construction, and I know a lot of folks in construction. I've discussed this. And generally, you don't have your foundation protruding out from the face of your building, because water collects along there, and it can get down in there, and it just causes problems. And again, here in Canada land, Calgary, here in southern Alberta, we're close to the Rocky Mountains. We have long, cold winters, a lot of ice, a lot of snow. And that just causes problems as that builds up and gets in behind there too. As the water expands, when it freezes, it pushes that crud away from the brick, and it gets down in there. And you still end up with problems with leaks in those half-buried windows that they've tried to cover up, or so on and so forth. So yeah, I was trying to come up with a term to describe what I was seeing here, and I just landed on schmutz. You know, like when somebody's got a stain on their shirt, some mustard or yellow mustard on their shirts. Hey, you got a little schmutz on your shirt there, buddy. I don't know. Works for me.
You can always tell that's a telltale sign when it juts out like this away from the original facade of the building. They've just slapped that on. You can see that in behind there. There's still some red brick underneath there. And the ridiculously tiny supposed basement windows, quite deep as well. You know, the depth of the window itself, you can see is that this would have been probably brick all the way down and probably further down under the sidewalk. And then they've just boxed these in with concrete. And of course, as the street sort of rises here, the windows get shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah, I don't know any builder that would build like that. Even in a custom home, you might have different sized windows, right? But your basement windows wouldn't be different sizes. I would say 99% of the time. Because if something happens, again, these lower windows, and you can see this is a sidewalk here. There's a cafe and restaurant and tattoo shop, as mentioned in this place, and a couple of other shops, I think. So there's a lot of foot traffic here. So in the winter, you're going to shovel the snow. Often they just shovel it and push it up against the side of the building. But before you get a chance to remove the snow, you know, if we get a blizzard or we get, 6 inches of snow in a day, all of that moisture and ice and snow is getting into those windows. You put down some salt to melt it. You put down some gravel so people don't slip and bust their tailbone and sue you. And then the city goes by on the streets and they put down gravel on the streets, like almost like pea gravel. Like it's not pea gravel in terms of it's smooth. It's rough gravel, but small gravel. And it helps just with traction, right? So a car goes by and their tire catches the edges of one of these little rocks and shoots it through your window. Let's say 2 out of 3 of your windows get busted over a winter. You can't just say, oh, I need 2 of these windows that are 30 centimeters by 120 centimeters. No, because they're different sizes. So now they got to be custom made and it's going to cost you extra. So why would you do that? It's antithetical to efficient, symmetrical, quality, craftsmanship type of building. Again, if you have a custom home, sure, you might have your master bedroom might have larger windows, or if you have a view from a certain perspective at a certain end of the house, you might have larger windows or taller windows, whatever. Sure, I get it. But if you have 3 living room windows, they're probably not going to be 3 different sizes, all janky and higgledy-piggledy. You know what I'm saying?
So at some point, I'm sure this building actually, this ground level was a few feet further down or deeper, and these were larger windows. Because why would you go through all the extra effort and expense to have these different sized windows all along your building? I mean, this one is smaller than the previous, which is smaller than the previous.
By the way, that very last little window we're seeing off in the distance there, that window has now been covered up and it's gone. So just in the last 5 years.
And so on, all the way up to the front of the building. That would be such a pain to engineer and build it that way, when you could have just leveled it out and had everything uniform in size. It'd be much easier. Okay, so here it is here.
Oh, yeah, so that's the end of that one. Channel 53 says, I like naked brick too. I refuse to paint mine, although several neighbors have. 1948 to 1961 houses. I'm guessing, right? The years of the houses. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, Kathy. Kathy Broughton says, I don't care for painted red brick. Me too. I say, yeah, Odin's Raven says, it's truly a sin, Kathy. Yeah. Yeah, especially the old stuff, right? The old world stuff, or even just stuff that's, historically accurate. If they tell us, yeah, this was built in 1920 out of local brick from the brick factory, and you can trace it back, then yeah, it's still much nicer than painting it. They like to paint it white, or they'll paint it. They'll either paint it white or an off-white or a gray, or they'll paint it a brick color. Really, you're going to paint your red brick a color of paint that's red brick colored paint? That kind of stuff. And you saw in the old building there too that that brick was quite yellowed. It was almost more of a peach color rather than the red brick. It's another reason why I don't believe the build date on that old building. I think that old baby's been there a long time and has seen some damage from ultraviolet radiation, UV radiation from the sun, which, sun bleaching, which is a thing, or some kind of catastrophe that caused that thing to just or maybe it's been there longer than, well, you can guess the build date on that. 1912, just like the tennis courts. 1912. I got a little distracted over the weekend. I meant to take a more current video along the bottom of that phony foundation that's covered in schmutz, and they painted that kind of weird dark brown, almost black color, because they've now added on to that. So there's compounding layers of stuff going on here. Compounding layers of
shenanigans.
And it's as plain as his nose on your face. But I think on a guy's Insta, I put up a reel of it. So let me just quickly see if I can pull that up. Pretty sure I did. Yeah, there it is. Let me just pull this up. See if I can share it. We should be able to share it. Here we go. So this is what I mean by a fake or phony foundation. Looks like sandstone blocks, right? No, just tiles stuck over top of old brick. Yeah, there you go, fake foundation. I'll let you see it one more time here. So this is what I mean by a fake or phony foundation. Looks like sandstone blocks, right? No, just tiles stuck over top of old brick. Yeah, there you go, fake foundation. And then you could see that a little bit of that black, dark brown, almost black painted schmutz falling away, and that's where you see the exposed red brick. So there's already 2 layers on top of that red brick to try to hide it. There's the schmutz of the phony foundation that they painted that dark brown or blackish, grayish, whatever that is. And now they've come along and they've stuck on some sandstone tiles that are meant to look like the large sandstone blocks that some of the old buildings here in Calgary are actually constructed out of. The interior walls will be brick, but the exterior wall is often a 1 foot by 1 foot by 2 foot or 1.5 foot, depending, sandstone block with some variation, and larger blocks for headers above windows and doors and different openings, cargo or loading bay doors or whatever. And then they often added the fancy embellishments on red brick buildings using sandstone, keystones or cartouches or gargoyles or grotesques or whatever the case may be. Yeah, exactly. Plain Spoken Jane says facade foundation. Yep. Phony foundation, fake foundation. I agree, Annie. Orphan Annie says we live in great deception. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Thank you, Hippie Shake. There it is on the Instagram channel, the link there. And again, links below for how you can get a hold of a fella. Let me quickly pull up a couple of articles that I've bookmarked for that Cushing building, the AB Cushing Lumber Company building. This is static1squarespace.com. It's a PDF article. It's the Beltline brochure. There's a couple of neighborhoods that are built end to end next to each other. There's Sonalta, where I am. Then the next neighborhood is Connaught. And then you start getting into the downtown area. I can't remember what's after Connaught, but then it was Victoria Park. But it's known as the Beltline because you have these neighborhoods, then you basically have maybe a small warehouse district, which is a strip of an avenue or two, the railroad, and then north side of the railroad is the downtown core with the high rises. So it kind of is a belt that follows the railroad that skirts the downtown. It's all very linear, you see, in the newer developments. All the streets and their goofy grids and whatnot. So anyways, this is the A.B. Cushing Lumber Company building. The A.B. Cushing Lumber Company building, constructed in 1912, so I guess in 1 year, is a rectangular 2-story building of heavy timber construction faced with brick. It is situated in the northwestern part of the Beltline community and contributes to a historic warehouse and semi-industrial district adjacent to the Canadian Pacific Railroad main line. This building was part of the founding site of A.B. Cushing Lumber Company, an important Calgary employer and provider of construction materials in Calgary and Western Canada. It is symbolic of the city's growing industrial and manufacturing sector prior to the WW1, which made Calgary the most important manufacturing center between Winnipeg and Vancouver. All out of this little place. In 1913, the company claimed it was the largest hardware depot west of Winnipeg. There's probably 10 times as many trees in British Columbia, which is on the western side of the Canadian Rockies from where I am, than there are in Alberta. So why would you be providing lumber to Western Canada that would include British Columbia? You can't swing a dead beaver without hitting a tree in British Columbia. Saskatchewan, maybe I can see that. There's not a lot of huge trees there that could be used for timber until you get into the northern boreal forest section of the province for the most part. The river valleys, sure, but it's very dry in Alberta and Saskatchewan. It's, the Great Plains of Canada. It's the prairies. We grow wheat and stuff. Not big, massive trees. Oh, they got sequoias out in British Columbia. What do we ship lumber out there from here for? And again, largest hardware depot west of Winnipeg out of this 2-story red brick building. So I found that to be very interesting, but I also am not too sure about the official narrative.
Oh, shit!
Yeah, I think that sums it up pretty good, I would say. I think that sums it up just fine. Another one here real quick, albertaonrecord.ca, the Cushing family businesses. This is their fonds on their archives. And again, link below for this. You can check this out yourself as well. Although there's not tons of information in it other than what we're seeing here for the most part. So you can see here, Cushing family businesses, Glenbow Museum and Archives. That's our museum here in Calgary. 1900 through to 1977. For 40 photographs that I could not access for whatever reason. I tried. I could not find them. I couldn't access them. I don't know. I'm not exactly a I don't exactly have hacker status on the old computer. So, you know. But anyway, Cushing, A.B. Cushing, and William H. A.B. Cushing Mills. Biographical history, Alfred Bruce Cushing, or A.B. Cushing, 1865 to 1944, was born in Ontario and taught there for many years. In 1900, he moved to Edmonton, Alberta, where he joined his younger brother, Arthur, in managing a branch of Cushing Brothers Limited, a lumber company started in Calgary. In Calgary, Alberta, in 1885 by their older brother, William H. Cushing. A.B. Cushing was vice president and manager and later secretary-treasurer of Cushing Brothers until 1910. In 1911, he formed his own lumber business in Calgary, the A.B. Cushing Lumber Company. In 1926, this company amalgamated with R.L. Cushing Millwork Company of Moose Jaw and the Vancouver firms of Master-Built Doors, Cushing Mills in British Columbia, and Northern Vancouver Sawmills under the name A.B. Cushing Mills Limited. These guys had it on lock. From the tips of your toes to the tip of your nose. I'm surprised they didn't get into the railroad business to do that full vertical integration of your businesses like Molson did up here in Canada land. Or Bush did there with Budweiser down in the good old US of A. So you have A.B. Cushing, that's Alfred Bruce Cushing. Then you have Arthur Cushing. And then you have William H. Cushing. And they all own businesses in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Calgary, and Edmonton, Alberta, and Vancouver. Sawmills, lumber yards, door companies. It's like they were the Red Shields of the hardware business here. Huh. I don't know. I find that when you get all these names popping up, and all these brothers I'm sure there are times where brothers have started businesses and they eventually all amalgamated into some super business. Sure. You know. My dad's got 4 brothers. They've never went into business with anything with one another. In fact, they always said, it's probably not a good idea to mix business with family. They do tons of other stuff together as brothers, but get into business? So that's another reason. Maybe that's just me and my daddy and my uncles. I don't know. My granddaddy and my great uncles never had any business together. They've maybe have worked for the same company periodically, the railroad, but and my granddaddy was a farmer, so my dad and my uncles worked on the farm when they were kids, but that's about it. So that's why it just raises some red flags is all. I always tiptoe cautiously when I read about these, basically, for lack of a better term, robber baron families of brothers that have all these businesses put together, and they end up putting a stranglehold on a large region in a city or a country, for that matter. Just saying. Dragon Sage says, I lived in BC for years. It is beautiful. It is. It certainly is. What was the old slogan for that province? Supernatural British Columbia. Because it wasn't just naturally beautiful, it was supernaturally beautiful. Mountain lakes and the Rockies, and then you have the Pacific Ocean and the warm waters of the Pacific. But then you have the snow-capped mountains, the Rockies and the Cascade Mountains and whatever that other mountain range is. It is lovely. The people there are a little bit weird. It's kind of Canada's California, but it is what it is. So I just want to quickly, before we jump into the mid-show break, I pulled up the Wikipedia on this William Henry Cushing because there was nothing on A.B. Cushing. although they do make mention of them in this article. But just, for shits and giggles, just to see, just to see what Wikipedia says about it. Always like to go to the wacky. I find even more and more now, if you go online and you ask the AI, the dumbass robots, a question, they just use Wikipedia as a citation anyway, and other online articles basically cut and paste from Wikipedia. So might as well just go to the source of the BS, I guess. But we have William Henry Cushing here. William Henry Cushing was a Canadian politician born in Ontario. He migrated west as a young adult, where he started a successful lumber company, later became Alberta's first Minister of Public Works and the 11th Mayor of Calgary. It's another one of the early crooked politicians in our history here in Cowtown. As Minister of Public Works in the government of Alexander Cameron Rutherford, that was the provincial leader, he oversaw the creation of Alberta Government Telephones, AGT, the old government-run telephone service, which has now been privatized, so therefore now it's garbage. Cushing's resignation in 1910 precipitated the Alberta and Great Waterways Railway scandal. Oh, there it is, which forced Rutherford's resignation. Though Cushing had hopes of being asked to replace Rutherford, that role instead fell to Arthur Sifton, the province's chief judge. Left out of Sifton's cabinet, Cushing did not seek re-election in the 1913 election and did not re-enter politics thereafter. He was the chairman of Mount Royal College Board of Governors for 16 years, and he went on to the great beyond in 1934. So he's born in Kenilworth, Ontario. I've never even heard of that place. To William Cushing and Sarah Thompson. His father was a farmer who immigrated from Norwich, England in 1840. Wow, that's early on. Even, well, I guess maybe not for Ontario. I don't know. Even for Ontario standards, it's pretty early. Sure, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and Quebec. Maybe some of the other maritime provinces, Prince Edward Island, you go back to the 1700s, so we're told. Maybe along the St. Lawrence and the Great Lakes area, you get some pretty early settlers in there doing the old fur trading thing, but, a lot of well-established cities and towns in 1840, even in Ontario, pretty few and far between, I would reckon. Anyways, in 1879, Cushing indentured as a carpenter. Indentured as a carpenter? Is that like when you become an indentured servant? Basically work for free? Like you work for free to pay for your apprenticeship, in other words, right? Rather than going to college or trade school or something. Anyways, we're in partnership with Stephen Jarrett. He engaged in carpentry, building houses and stores. In 1877, Cushing married Elizabeth Rynn, who passed 3 years later. In 1883, he married Mary Jane Waters, with whom he had 2 children. In 1885, he opened a sash and door factory, which made him wealthy. He just fresh new family after being recently widowed, and then I'm just going to open up a sash and door factory. He's not going to buy one. He's just going to open one up. Okay. It's kind of vague, but sure. His business flourished and expanded. By 1900, it occupied 42 city lots and employed more than 100 workers. By 1911, his number had reached 200. He was also active in the local Methodist Church and the Bowness Golf Club, and served 8 years as a school trustee with the Calgary Board of Education. He was a supporter of the temperance movement. That's Canadia's version of prohibition, which occurred way earlier than American prohibition, by the way. It occurred with us in the teens, the 19-teens. And then we got it out of our system right quick and said, no, it's time for some beer and whiskey, bud. This sucks. Cushing was elected Calgary Town Councillor for a term beginning on January 20th, 1890. He remained in that capacity until January 16th, 1893, 2 years later, became an alderman in the Council of Calgary, which was now a city. Served as alderman, yada, yada, yada. During his last term, he was elected 13th mayor of Calgary, a position he held from January 2nd, 1900 to January 7th, 1901. Subsequently served another term as alderman. He was only mayor for a year. What's going on? He also served president of Calgary Board of Trade in 06. This guy, busier than a beaver. Busier than a beaver. Then there's a bunch of politics going on here. Railway scandal. By the 1900 Alberta general election, Calgary's growth had earned it a second seat in the legislature. Representation by population, if you will. Cushing finished first in a 5-candidate field and was elected to fill one of these seats. Bennett, finishing second, was elected to the other. Cushing was, as Minister of Public Works, was initially responsible for railway policy. On November 1st, 1909, Rutherford created a new Ministry of Railways, which he appointed himself as the head. Of course. February 1910, Cushing resigned as Minister of Public Works, expressing disagreement with Rutherford's policy of offering loan guarantees to private railway builders, including the Alberta and Great Waterways Railway. He stated in his letter of resignation that this policy had been adopted without his knowledge or consent. Rutherford accepted the resignation with regret, but publicly disagreed with Cushing's claim that he'd been kept unaware of government railway policy. Yeah. Railway baron scandals. Cushing was the first chairman of Mount Royal College. Yeah, we read about that. And the rest of the blah-bitty-blah down below, if you care to look into it. Of course, the link for that Wikipedia article in the box down below as well. Where are we at here? 1 hour and 20 minutes. Yikes, going a little over here. What do you say we take a mid-show break? I've got a nice one here for you, people. For the next couple of weeks, as I have been doing for the past couple of weeks, we are featuring music from our friend Dragon Sage, friend of the channel here, and his band, The Sex Witch. This show is no different. This is Summer Garden Party. The date on this, this is from the UK. Summer Garden Party 1902. It's about 3.5 minutes long. She's a good one, a real good one. So smoke them if you got them. Put your ear goggles on. Turn it up to 11. And we'll see you on the other side of 3.5 minutes. All right? Thanks, everyone. Be right back. Cheers. All right, and we are back. Welcome back, everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. Hello. Thank you very much for shooting in, joining a fella here for another live one. New West Reset Live, episode 175 here today. It's my channel's 5-year anniversary, my 5th birthday here for the show. So we're doing a subscriber Q&A, plus I'm going to do a draw here coming up very shortly for some free New West Reset merch. One lucky winner is going to receive the channel logo, black 100% cotton t-shirt, and the limited edition Heather Gray Shenanigans t-shirt, as well as a Schmutz trucker hat. Do the draw for that shortly. So if you would like to be entered for the draw, you've got to be willing to give me your mailing address, obviously, to get the prizes. But let me know in the chat, in the box, if you'd like to be entered for the draw. And then later on, I'll put your name in the Spin the Wheel to Win app. And for the Q&A session, which is coming up toot sweet. If you have a question for me, certainly be happy to answer it for you. If you can, if it's possible, type it in all caps in the chat, in the box here, so that I can bookmark it. Appreciate that. And yes, thank you very much to Dragon Sage and the Sex Witch for that video. What did you think of that? Huh? Did you like that? Thanks for being here. If you haven't already, please do all the things to help a fellow out. If you've already shared and subscribed, thank you very much. Appreciate you. And if you like that sort of thing, the old-timey videos and whatnot, I mentioned this at the top of the show. I do have a second channel, New West Rewind. Every Saturday, I upload an old-timey vintage footage video. Got videos. I've already broken things down into playlists. And I've already unlocked the thing where if I want to upload a premiere video on this channel so we can have a live chat in the sidebar, that's good to go on this channel as well. So if you haven't already, please consider going over there and checking it out. I hope to earn your subscription there as well. I try to use only the original raw film footage whenever possible. And the videos are always set to music. And sometimes I like to feature music from friends of ours here on the channel, like the Sex Witch, courtesy Dragon Sage. So thanks for winding down your weekend here with yours truly on the Sunday Funday Show. Appreciate you being here. Woo! Woo! Sunday, June 14th, 6:30 p.m. local time, coming at you as always from Calgary, Alberta, up in Canada land, broadcasting live on YouTube and Rumble. Links below for everything we've covered, as well as how you can get a hold of a fella. Just got back from hosting the weekend-long subscriber meetup and mudflood tour. Did one session yesterday and one session earlier today. Thank you, everybody who attended. Cousin Vinny, Kinley Jackson, and our friend Russ as well. Some folks make it a 2-hour drive to come down, so I'm humbled and very, very grateful. Thank you very much. It was a great time meeting all of you. We had a lot of fun checking out a lot of old world shenanigans over in the old Mission District, and it was a beautiful day. We've got Baja here. Our buddy Sig is in the box as well. Dragon Sage is here. Howdy. By the way, Dragon Sage has his own channel, and the Sex Witch also have their own YouTube channel. So please go over there and show them some support. Hippie Shake is here, keeping an eye on things and being fast and furious with all the links. Thank you very, very much, Hippie. Mr. Infinite in the box. Kathy Broughton is here. Plain Spoken Jane, good to see you. Flying Axe Blade over on Rumble. Happy Jefferson, happy Nickel, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Up here, it's a beaver. We have a beaver R&R Nichols up here, eh? So it's a beaver day for me. Robert McLean in the box. Good to see you. Howdy. Odin's Raven is here. Appreciate all of you being here. Channel 53. Turtle's here. Hey, there's Ross, Water the Tree. Also has an excellent channel. Does a lot of boots on the ground and then a lot of deep dives of some of the goofy stuff he finds down there in Kansas City, Missouri. Go and check out Ross at Water the Tree as well. Robert's here. Howdy, howdy. PJCC in the box. Great band. Yeah, the Sex Witch. Kind of garagey, a little bit grungy, kind of bluesy. And then, of course, rock and or roll. So doesn't get any better than that. You can do much worse than that. Stephanie is here. That's Babylon Fox in the box, watching on the big TV. Nice. Yeah, it's kind of hard to look at some of the old photos if we look at stuff like that when it's on your phone or whatever. Just saying. I know I end up having to put my glasses on because I'm an old fart and I need help. I need help seeing. I need to see what I'm doing. Noah Montague is here. Howdy, Noah. Good to see you. Thanks, all of you, for being here. All right, so the top half of the show, we kind of looked at some clips or small segments from my very first video upload on the channel, basically 5 years ago today. Not the best. I didn't have the best camera on my cell phone at the time, and I didn't have a gimbal. A little shaky, and I was kind of nervous. I was nervous. I had the stuttering, maybe, or something. Not so bad now. Get pretty used to it. Anyways, in the first segment, we looked at some of the wonky official narrative with the old Calgary Tennis Club. Yeah, the tennis clubhouse burnt down because it was an old worlder. I think there's a reason why the Calgary Tennis Club ended up being at the spot that they're at now since 1912. They moved there. There was an old worlder there. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's our clubhouse. That's our tennis club house, a pro shop, and a little cafe in there. You get yourself an egg salad sandwich and a mint julep. I don't know what the hell they were doing back then. Seems silly. Seems absolutely silly. And then we also looked at the Cushion family business, or one of them anyways, here with the A.B. Cushing Lumber Company in that old building. So we're going to get into the Q&A portion of the show. Again, if you have any questions for me, let me know in the chat, in the box. Try to type it in all caps just so it kind of jumps out a little easier at a guy, and I can bookmark it and address the question. If you can. Guy doesn't ask for much. Also, in the box below, all the links for how you can get a hold of me. If you want to send a guy an email, also on BitChute and on the Instagram. So links down there. And of course, you can always find me live on Rumble every Sunday for the show as well. Kathy says, I used to love drinking mint juleps.
I say they're mighty fine. You sit on the front porch on a warm summer evening, sipping yourself a delicious mint julep. I do declare.
Bacon and egg salad sandwich. I'm not big on the egg salad, but if you throw some bacon on it, I'm always willing to readdress the issue. You know what I'm saying? Always willing to readdress the issue. That's just a terrible accent. That's a Bugs Bunny cartoons accent.
Oh, Belvedere, come here, boy.
And the dog comes running. The old Southern Plantation Colonel and the old Looney Tunes cartoons. Back when they did that stuff in the 1970s, pretty sure that character has disappeared. I'm pretty sure they don't play that one anymore. But, oh yeah, Montreal had the orange julep. Yeah, that's right. The giant orange-shaped building that you would go up and you would get yourself an orange julep. Or you could get a hot dog. They had the hot dogs there. Or you could get an orange julep float where they put the soft serve ice cream. It's like a root beer float. But with the root beer, they would do the hard ice cream, the real ice cream, in the mug, and then put the root beer on. But with the orange julep, they would do the soft serve. And it kind of gets all melty and mixes in, and it's like having an orange creamsicle. That really took me back. KJ. The old orange julep. Actually, my mom grew up on a little acreage. My Nana and Pappy's acreage, when my mom was younger, was across from that orange julep, the big old one on the South Shore. It wasn't in Montreal proper. It was in Delson or St. Constant. It was on the South Shore, although I'm sure there was more than one. But it was a huge building shaped like a giant orange, painted orange. It's now a burger joint, so they've painted it to look like a big burger, but it's too round to look like a burger. But anyways, yeah, when my mama was a teenager in the early to mid-'60s, that place was already there. And it was like a A&W drive-in where you drive up and they'd come out to your car and serve you, or you could walk up to the counter. And they had picnic tables and whatnot. And yeah, that place was great. But eventually the highway ran through there. So then you got to run across a 6-lane highway from their little acreage when they were kids to get to the orange julep. Dangerous, but tempting. Got to be careful with that. Yeah, it's like an orange Julius, kind of, yes, but it was called the orange julep. It was actually a chain of them, I believe. And I think they all were shaped like a giant orange with just, like a window cut out of it that you would walk up and you'd order your whatever you wanted, your hot dog or your orange Julius or your ice cream. But I believe some of them, though, some of the larger ones were a drive-in where you could pull up and they'd come out and serve you like the old A&Ws. Yeah. Thank you, Chassis. Chassis Nick's in the box. Happy 5 years, Frankie. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. A lot of you have been with me basically since day one, which is incredible. 5 years. So thank you. Thank you. All of your support is greatly appreciated. And I'm not doing this to be, rich or famous. I do this for fun. I do this so I can explore my own backyard and share it with all of you. Encourage some of you to maybe get out there and explore your own backyard. And also, I'm just trying to contribute what I find and try to bring it to the table so that we can start answering some of the questions around here. You know what I'm saying? Again, as a reminder, I will be doing the draw shortly for the New West Reset prize pack, 2 t-shirts and the Schmutz trucker hat. I think I have a photo of that, actually. Let me get that up here just to show you. I also had some socks, but those are gone. I'm out of socks. If there's people asking for them, I'll order some more socks. But Kinley Jackson got the last pair of socks yesterday. Yes, indeed. Let me just pull up this photo here and you can see what I'm talking about. Sorry. Having some kind of issue here for some reason. What's happening, man? What's happening, baby? So the limited edition shenanigans t-shirt with those poor horses pulling the trolley. 100% cotton, heather gray, laddies and lasses. And then the New West Reset Classic Black Channel logo t-shirt, also 100% cotton. And the Schmutz trucker hat, the new edition with the Schlitz beer font. And the socks, as you can see with the logo, those are gone, unfortunately. Now, I had a few people asking me about the merch, like, hey, where's your merch store or whatever? I do not have a merch store. I did not monetize my channel. I'm kind of a small guy. I'm like, what do I need to monetize for? You know, I'm not a big, huge channel that's got a lot of research staff helping me and like a thumbnail guy creating my thumbnails and an editor editing stuff. A one guy show. Like I said, I'm doing this because I enjoy doing it. But I had a lot of people saying, look, we understand you're traveling around a lot. Even if you don't leave town, you're going all over your city and it's costing you time and money to travel, and you're buying new equipment for the channel, gimbals and better microphones and better phones, and people wanted to contribute, but I did not want to monetize my channel because also YouTube messes with you a lot more than they're already messing with me when you're monetized. So I thought, okay, here's what I'll do is I'll get some merchandise made at my local print shop right here on my street, just 4 blocks away from where I am. A nice little local business. I had some t-shirts made, and I thought, okay, I'll create a PayPal. If somebody wants to contribute to the channel, I will send them a t-shirt as a thank you. That way you're not just giving me something for nothing, which, hey, the generosity is greatly appreciated, but I like to pay it back or pay it forward or give you a little something as a thank you, right? So yeah, they were a big part of the narrative for the meetup and mudflood walkabout in the Mission District here, where the Jesuits, the French Roman Catholics. Not sure about those. Well, the Masons, I think, were involved. A lot of actually the early politicians here in Calgary, the town councillors and the old city councillors and the aldermen and all them. A lot of the, the Minister of Transportation and Public Works, those guys, a lot of them were square and compass guys. Absolutely, they were. Yeah. So again, if you have any questions, please let me know. Type it in the chat in the box there. In roughly 15 minutes, I'm going to do the draw for the t-shirts and the hat, the Schmutz hat. So if you would like to be entered in the draw, please type the number 1 in the chat. Give me one of these if you would like to be entered in the draw. And remember, you've got to be willing to give me your mailing address so I can send you the prize, obviously. I'm going to keep it under my hat here now. I'm not going to dox you now. It defeats the purpose and it's stupid. I'm not doing that. I trust you, and I would hope that you trust me. And it's my way of paying back for all your support over the past 5 years. It's the least I can do as a thank you to all of you, is to send you out a couple of nice, unique t-shirts and a cool trucker hat to keep your head cool in the summer. You know what I'm saying? So I've got a few folks. Excellent. Very good. Wiley Metz. Okay, I'll put you in. Plain Spoken Jane and Title. Put you folks in as well. Channel 53. Ross Water the Tree. 6 Sarah saying 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put you in for 1, but PJCCG got you in as well. Okay. Keely Jackson say 2 or 3. Quit playing. Quit goofing around now. You're confusing me.
Emotional damage.
Say, I don't know what to do now.
You guys have officially made me lose my marbles!
I still dig that kid. He's the king. That kid is the king of crashing out on trolls online. That clip's got to be, 15 years old by now?
Shenanigans.
Something like that. That's a huge question, Mr. Infinite. Kicking off the Q&A session with what's the dealio? Wow, where do we start, right? Personally, I don't think that all of history was a lie. I think that's next to impossible. I do think that a lot of what we're taught as we were coming up in public school, most especially, but 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Private school, homeschooling, public school, you've all got to follow some kind of approved curriculum. I think there's a lot of truth in what we're taught in terms of our history. I think the timelines are what's been monkeyed around with most of all. And I think a lot of historical figures have been made up, or I think a lot of historical occurrences or events or even buildings or structures have been grouped together, and you get tons and tons of these things awarded to certain historical characters. Like a certain architect is responsible for 50 buildings or something like that. I do think that they like to pepper some of our historical truth with a lot of lies, misdirections, false narratives, and again, that's altered timeline, stretched and manipulated timeline. So it's hard to sift the BS from the truth. It's like trying to pick gnat shit out of pepper. I like to use the shit sandwich as an example. If you've got a ham sandwich and I sneak some shit in it, how much shit do I have to put in that sandwich before you no longer consider it a ham sandwich and it's now become a shit sandwich? 1% shit? 25% shit? 50% shit? So it gets to muddy the waters so bad in the official his story by just peppering some BS and false narratives, or saying this guy over here owned 16 railroads, or that guy over there designed 50 buildings, or that building was built in 1 year. That it just throws everything out of whack, muddies the waters, and then when you are trying to get to the truth and sift through all the stuff, you either get discouraged or you just can't find it. And I'm not even talking researching offline. A lot of people in our community will actually get up and go to the statistics office or to the library and check old microfiche and find old newspapers and you know what I'm saying? Whatever your forte is, right? If you got the tism for doing that kind of stuff, more power to you. I like to get outside and find evidence that I can touch and feel with my own two hands. Yes, that's real sandstone. No, that over there, that ain't. That building over there, I don't think it was built in 1910 because I got a photo from 1905 and it's already there. That kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's Hardwick in the box. Good to see. What's your next project? I think it could help if you did a quick history of Canada and its geography and highlight your area. It's a good idea. Part of this 5-year celebration of the channel here, I do actually have a couple already done and waiting in the wings, but I'm going to start doing a few more long form videos that are shorter than these roughly 2-hour live streams, but longer than my roughly 10 to 20 minute boots on the ground videos. It's going to be videos where I sit down and record and narrate, where I've doing an investigation about a certain structure, a certain area, maybe a city or a town. So yes, that's an excellent suggestion. Maybe I could do a series or something like that. I'm also, it's basically done, and it's going to be coming up here very, very shortly. Coming up in July, my relaunch of my mudflood documentary that I had put out last year called Reset 1700, which does get into a lot of this as well, Nance. Unfortunately, I got dinged by the HooTubes and they took it down and I got a strike for it. It is still up in its entirety on Rumble, and I've broken it down into 7 parts on BitChute. But what I decided to do was to do a director's cut of it and add in some deleted scenes, deleted material, re-record my audio narration, and just add in a little bit of extra information. So that's going to be coming up very, very quickly. What's a sub and pop? Called a hero and soda. Yeah. Well, we have like submarine sandwiches, right? We call them subs up here too. Sub. Let's go and grab a sub. meatball sub. And depending where in Canada, they'll either call it soda or they'll call it pop, or sometimes they'll go all in and call it soda pop. We don't use the term hero up here. Although we do use the term gyro or gyro, which is like a Greek pita. It's like that spiced thin sliced meat. It's a gyro. It's like a Greek sandwich in a pita. Not necessarily Greek, but a gyro is Greek. It's like a donair or like a falafel, but instead of having the falafels in it, it's got a spiced, slow roasted on a rotisserie meat that is sliced really thin, hot right off that still rotating meat, and they put it on a pita bread with some onion and diced tomatoes. And usually for a Canadian donair, it's a sweet sauce, although you can put a garlic sauce on there or some kind of, I don't know, Lebanese sauce. There's slight variations in and around the Mediterranean, right? Yeah, well, I know that there's a lot of states, so excuse me, Channel 53, saying everything is a Coke here. So, yeah, it's like if you want a Sprite or a 7-Up, I'll get a Coke. And then you got to tell them what kind of Coke, because the term Coke has become soda or pop or soda pop. It's like when somebody says, you know, like a Kleenex, where they really mean a tissue, a facial tissue. But Kleenex is such a huge brand that it's now, you know, become the name for that thing, that object, right? But yeah, I've heard that in, I think, in some states more in the South, they call every kind of soda pop Coke. See, and then down, like up here, we call iced tea what you call sweet tea. So down in the States, you have sweet tea, which is iced tea that has been sweetened. But we don't have the term sweet tea up in Canadian land here. Eh? We just call it iced tea. And it's assumed that it's already going to be sweetened, or maybe they put some lemon and some sweetener in it. And often they'll ask you how you want it sweetened. Do you want it sweetened with, you know, raw plantation sugar or honey, maple syrup? You know, that's always on the menu up here. Or just regular white, refined, processed, granulated sugar. Or as they say on those old timey blues records, granulated sugar. Chassis says it's Coke in Mississippi too, for a soda or a pop, right? Kimmy Jackson, we sweeten all cold tea. Yeah, generally speaking. Rarely in Canada do you ask for an iced tea and you get literally tea, like a tea with ice in it, like a cold tea without sweetener. But if you're Canadian and you're traveling into the US, you got to switch to, I would like a sweet tea, please. Otherwise, you're going to be in a hell of a surprise, because you're literally going to get tea that's been made cold with ice. Hippie says we call soda pop in Wales. Yeah, I've heard either or here in Canada. I think regionally it depends. Generally here in the West, like in Alberta, it's usually pop. When I was a kid out east, it was soda. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Sage says only drink ginger ale. I'm not a big soda drinker. If I go out for sushi, I'll have ginger ale. I like the ginger flavor of ginger ale with the sushi. But it's not like I'm going out for sushi once a week or even once a month. Just once in a blue moon, as my daddy would say. Ginger ale with Japanese food, I like. You know, if you're not going to get like a Japanese beer or some sake, maybe, then, you know, you get the ginger ale. Now, if you're getting some Jamaican food, man, you get some good curry goat, and you got to get the Jamaican ginger beer, you know? Then it's irie, everything turn and crisp, man. Me dig that one the best, you know. Oh, with rye whiskey. Yeah, rye and ginger ale. With a little squeeze of lime in it. Just for the hell of it. I'm just going to be scrolling up and down the chat here as well. Again, if anybody has any questions for me, let me know in the chat. B Shake says, I'm a vegetarian. A ham sandwich is out for me. Yuck. We could use that mock ham, that fake meat that's ham. You know, I don't know. I'm not a vegetarian, but hey, you could do your thing. But I got to say, it's probably much easier to be a vegetarian now than it would have been 20 or 30 years ago. Although a lot of the vegetarian food that you can buy in the supermarkets and grocery stores now it's just as processed. You're better off if you want a hamburger that doesn't have meat in it. You're better off buying yourself, a shiitake mushroom and some, I don't know, chickpeas, and chop it all up and make your own homemade vegetarian fake meat burger patty. Because a lot of these vegetarian contains no meat burger patties are, the list of ingredients, the additives and preservatives are just as bad as the meat stuff. And now you got to watch out for, 3D printed meat, fake meat that they're calling real meat because it's grown in a test tube meat. Get the hell away from me with that stuff. I live in Purdy, Alberta now. We're world famous for Alberta beef here. It's award-winning Alberta beef. You get yourself a steak or some prime rib or some ribs or something like that here, some barbecued beef ribs here in Alberta, and I will tell you what, son, I'll put that up against any beef in the world, except for maybe those crazy Japanese Kobe beefs and all them. They take things to a ridiculous level over there. They can stay over there and do their thing with their beef, the Kobe beef and their crazy whatnot. Sugar and coffee? Yuck, says Plain Spoken Jane. I put honey in my coffee. Not a lot, just enough to kind of get rid of the bitter, the slightly bitter. Because, I'll have a couple of cups in the morning, and that's the first taste I want after my morning glass of water is not something bitter, right? Although it's weird because I do like the taste of coffee, but I do like it sweetened up a little bit. Yeah, lab grade meat. Yeah, it's grown in a lab, which is at one step even worse than what they call extruded meat. It's where they just mash up meat into a fine paste and they push it through an extruder and they shape it like stuff, like your chicken dino tenders shaped like dinosaurs, or, hot dogs. Although guilty as charged, I do like me a good hot dog. Put some yellow mustard and chopped onions and relish. Maybe some sauerkraut on that sumbitch. Or hold the sauerkraut, put some ketchup on it. Yes, damn it. Here in Canada, we put ketchup on our hot dogs. It's a thing. We love our ketchup up here. A lot of people put ketchup on their mac and cheese, their Kraft Dinner, Kraft brand mac and cheese up here too. Even I will do that once in a while. We'll put ketchup on scrambled eggs and omelets up here. We go crazy for the ketchup up here. It's probably second to maple syrup. We're not big on the salsa up here, and we do like it, but it's just not, you're not going to every restaurant and finding salsa or hot sauce on the table necessarily. If you go to a fried chicken joint up here, you're going to find a bottle of hot sauce on the table, absolutely. But if you just go to a regular diner, you're probably not going to find a jar of hot sauce or salsa on the table, but you'll find ketchup, and you probably will find maple syrup. Pineapple on pizza. Yeah, that's a Canadian thing. A lot of people give us hell for that, but it's actually ham and pineapple on the pizza, which is delicious together because it's actually inspired by the way Hawaiians roast their pigs with pineapple. And the sweetness of the pineapple marries beautifully with the flavor of the ham or the pork. But the acidity in that pineapple makes the meat tender. It's a natural tenderizer. Now, if you don't want to put pineapple on your pizza, that's fine. Canadians aren't going to march across the border with pew-pews at you because you don't like ham and pineapple pizza. I get it. A lot of Canadians don't like it either. Tell you what, I'd rather put ham and pineapple on my pizza than anchovies. Yeah, that's right. I said it. I said it. Well, yeah. Well, when they became, a protectorate of the United States and then later joined the Union of the United States, then all of a sudden, we can start shipping them all our Canadian or all of our American-made goods, which they probably are already shipping it. But once they became an American state, the floodgates are open, right? And they start shipping them all kinds of canned goods. And one of the things they were shipping over there like crazy was Spam for some reason. Them Hawaiians like their roast pig. Let's make it easier for them and send them pork in a can. And admittedly, they found 1,000,001 ways to prepare food with Spam. Bless them. So, it is what it is. Anyway, no earth-shattering questions so far here in the chat. So I think what I'm going to do here real quick is pull up that Spin to Win app. I'll enter everybody's name into that thing, the Wheel of Names. The Wheel of Names. Just scrolling up to where everybody gave me a number 1, Wiley Metz. Okay, gotcha. Turtle, gotcha. Plain Spoken Jane, add you in as well. Channel 53. Ross at Water the Tree. Okay, got you, Ross. PJ CCG. Got you in there as well, my friend. Let's see, make sure I'm not missing anybody. Sig Sauer as well. I believe that's everybody. Let me just review it here real quick. I'm going to share the screen as well. The Wheel of Names. So I've got Turtle. KJ, were you in the you were kind of pulling the leg with the 2-3. That's your way of saying you've already got 2 t-shirts and a hat, so you're good. I think that's what you're trying to say. I'll add you back in. I mean, it's fine. You can never. There's no such thing as you have too much of my merch. It's free anyways. But so I've got Turtle, Plain Spoken Jane, Channel 53, Ross at Water the Tree, PJ CCG, 6 Hour, Wiley Metz. Did I miss anybody? Tequila with salt and lime is the best. Oof. Stuff's rough. Stuff is rough. You guys are making me hungry. Tequila and pineapple. We could do the rum and pineapple. See, go back to Jamaica again, man, and you get the rum. The rum. You put the rum. Me put the rum in there, man. It's terrible. Absolutely atrocious Jamaican accent, I think. It's pretty bad.
We are laughing.
Absolutely laughable. Yes, Girly. Thank you. Sandra, gotcha. Sandra, yes, Girly. All right. Last call. Lime in the coconut and drink it all up, right? You put the lime in the coconut. All right, so one last review. We've got Title, Plain Spoken Jane, Channel 53, Ross at Water the Tree, PJ CC, Sig Sauer, Wiley Metz, and Sandra That's Yaskerly, by the way. Is that everybody? Have I missed anyone? All right. And again, as a reminder, the New West Reset prize pack, a couple of t-shirts, and a couple of New West Reset t-shirts, and the Schmutz trucker hat. Okay, so I think we're ready to spin. Are we ready to spin? Last call. Going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. In here. Big wiener. Our buddy Sig, the big wiener. Yes, there you go. Drum roll. There you go, buddy. The big wiener. Fantastic. And I have got your address. So there we go. And that's not going to be the last straw. I'm going to do that again when I have the Reset 1700 Mudflood documentary premiere here on the channel. I'll do another draw. Heck, I might even do 2. I don't know. Again, my way of paying back to all of you for all of your support, and a very sincere thank you very much to all of you. I really, really appreciate you. And again, links below for everything we've covered in terms of the old Calgary Tennis Club, which is still there. Still, it's been there since 1912. A couple of buildings done burned down, of course. I know, we're shocked, right? But other than that, it's still there. And of course, the old Cushing Lumber Company building. And again, links below where you can get a hold of a fella. Or if you want to share some stuff, you've taken some cool photographs in your neighborhood, and you want me to share them here on the live show, absolutely love to do that. If you want to get together and have what I call a New West Reset chill chat, sit down with old Frankie and just have a one-on-one either live chat or we can record it. Love to sit down and chat with any one of you anytime. Well, not anytime. I'm not sitting down and chatting with you at 3 in the morning, but you know what I'm saying. I'm always thrilled to sit down and, if I can't meet with you in person, and sit down and chat with you. And again, amongst the links, BitChute, Rumble, Instagram, and again, my email. So we're getting ready to wind this thing down here very, very shortly, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Before I go, again, as a reminder, link for my second channel, New West Rewind. It's where you'll find the old-timey vintage footage videos from now on every Saturday, much like we saw for the mid-show break here. Dragon, before I go, also, I have a slightly different version of the video that we saw here for the smile video for the sex witch. It's a slightly different version. It has a lot of the same old-timey video of people at the UK Tea Party from 1902, but I've spliced in some footage of the band that I've digitally altered, not using AI, though, just using different filters and stuff through my editing software to splice you guys in, not splice you in with the people, but during the chorus and so on. Yeah, so it's a slightly different version. So I will send that to you. Let's do another 5. Oh, for sure, bud. Going to do at least another 5 years in this thing. I don't plan on stopping. You know, I made mention of it recently that, I'm not going to cry in my milk. No, that's not it. That's cried over spilt milk. I'm not going to put tears in my beer over the fact that the HooTubes hates me and it's got me shadow banned. I've got a great group here on the channel that join me every Sunday. And we have fantastic conversations. You guys are a great bunch, smart bunch, funny bunch. You're very open-minded. So I'm very blessed to have all of you here. That's the best support that I can get for the channel, is just spending my favorite day of the week, Sunday evening, with all of you here for the show. I always like to leave things on a high note with a little bit of a couple of funny little videos and stuff. I do that because, I don't know, generally I find that a lot of these topics can be, large subject matter, and it can be frustrating, right? We know that they're lying to us. We know that they've obfuscated or muddied the real official truth of our actual history. Not only what has occurred in the past, but even what our realm is. What is this, our world? I believe some of the powers that should not be know, and they're just not filling the rest of us in. They're treating us like mushrooms. They're keeping us in the dark and feeding us bullshit. So, I like to leave things on a high note at the end of the show because, sometimes this stuff can be, you just want to be like, why I oughta. Stuff that makes you feel good, stuff that makes you laugh, or just stuff like this. Check this old fella out, oldish fella. Check this guy. This is great. Yeah, give her, Grandpa.
Everybody come back.
Ooh-wee. Wow. Pappy getting down on those things. Yeah, Kathy Broad says, dang, he's good. Yeah. Oh, I would agree with that, PJ. PJCCG says the powers that be disappearing. They be disappearing. Absolutely. Oh, you play percussion. Fantastic. Yeah, I've been known to beat the skins myself. Easy now. Easy. Take it easy. That's not what I meant. I've been known to play the drums myself. The second instrument I learned after the harmonica was the drums. So, yeah. All right, one more for you before I do some top drawer, top shelf level skedaddling here. This one is just funny as just some people found funny signs and did funny stuff with funny broken signs. You may have seen this already, but this one just about sent me over the edge. Sometimes the internet can be completely evil and totally terrible, but more often than not, the internet is excellent, and it's for stuff like this.
Beer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Style Boutique.
I'm not sure if it's Dollar Tree or if it's Dollar Tree.
Yo, we gotta go check out Burrow. They got the deals, bruh.
We gotta check out Burrows. They got the deals, bro.
Bargain!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Target.
It's ridiculous, man.
Panera. Bread.
Let's see that again.
Beer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Style Boutique.
That's the best one. That dude was killing it. That dude had that on lock. I don't know how many times he sat there, practiced that, and how many takes he took to get that. But good on you, bud. That was fantastic. The interwebs. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it, people? It's a double-edged sword. And with that, that is going to seal the deal here for Frankie. New West Reset and New West Reset Live, episode 175. The 5-year anniversary of the channel. Thank you very, very much for joining me and winding down your weekend here. Again, links below for everything we covered, as well as how you can get a hold of a fella. And again, it was fantastic to meet all of you this weekend. KJ, Kelly Jackson, Russ L, And of course, Unfree Mason, Cousin Vinny. We'll do it again next year and the year after. But I'd like to see a lot of you before that, so we'll try to make that happen. So until then, thank you very much. Take care of yourselves, and until the next one, have yourselves a good one. All right? Cheers.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery wrapped in a